Good morning, coffee moaners. Good morning. Welcome to Coffee Moaning Saturday, the 7th of February. How is everyone feeling? Anyone got any hangovers? There's a house full of hangovers here. We have a house full of youngsters. They went out on the lash. They had a great time and they're drowning themselves in juice. Hope you're well. Hope everyone's good. Hope you're not too knackered from whatever you were doing last night. If you haven't, do go and check out. Me and Nadia had a nice half-hour chat with the Green Party's candidate for Gorton and Denton, the by-election happening towards the end of this month, Hannah Spencer. What an impressive, warm, authentic, real conversation. That's what I'm liking about both the conversations we had with her and Zach Polanski. It's not about gotcha moments. It's not about tripping anyone up about what the right way to do things. Just warm, grown-up, real people. So please do check that out. I'll pop the link up somewhere up here. So guys, you know, it's been a big week of Epstein shit. People have been wading through the awfulness of the Epstein files. And I just want to pause before I kind of jump in and we start to talk about the Peter Mandelson affair, how Wes Streeting, our health minister, is vulnerable, how Starmer, some are saying Starmer could resign. He's feeling the pressure, he's feeling the stress of this. And again, a little bit like with the kind of chat and talk about the Epstein files, what gets lost and forgotten beneath all of this are the victims. It's easy to, you know, there's been a feeding frenzy over this story. There's been an attempt and a desire to be able to dig into the files, find the connections, draw the dots, and different people with different agendas are connecting different dots to serve different purposes. For instance, the mainstream media simply wants Epstein to have been a Russian KGB asset, whereas the paper trail seems to suggest he was much more of a Mossad asset. That's something we've been talking about a lot too. So just to bear in mind that despite all of that, what I think gets lost beneath the kind of the size, the scope, and the drama, and the kind of clickbaitiness of all of it is the fact that there are many, many victims who still have no answers. Some of them have had their names spilt into the public realm. The redactions haven't protected as many of the victims as we like to think. I've only just managed, last night I managed to gain access, or I've got the access to the link to the portal to the Department of Justice's website, where you can search and hunt for whatever is in the files, or you can hunt for what you think might be in the files. Just bear with me 1 second. So we're going to go through all of that. We're going to talk about Mandelson's homes being raided. We're going to talk about his unedifying image on the front page of the Times magazine. We're going to talk about will Starmer resign? We're going to also be talking about in more detail about Donald Trump's racist meme that he uploaded onto his Truth Social, in which there is a sequence where the Obama's heads have been placed on the bodies of monkeys. He's refused to apologize. He's refused to acknowledge its racism. And I just want to, I think baked into that story is less the fact that we expect him to apologize, but which clause is it in the American Constitution? Which amendment? Is it the 25th Amendment, where you can actually start to suggest that a president is unfit for office due to their kind of mental kind of disarray and mental kind of cognition issues? So maybe we could all maybe they need to start kind of listing the things where he says 25th Amendment, thank you very much, where he does weird kind of erratic stuff like posting racist memes and so forth. So it's less that he's going to say sorry. It's not about whether it is racist or isn't racist. It is. It's less about him saying that maybe a junior aide posted it. It's more about the fact that, oh, hang on a minute, if the Democrats and opposition, people who are in opposition to Trump, were being clever, they'd start to be picking into this stuff, because where he's vulnerable is in people suggesting to him that he's got cognitive decline. That's what everyone just needs to keep saying to him. What people should start doing is throwing him algebraic sums just to kind of throw him. Mr. Trump, what's 4 + 7? That's what I've just realized that. Do you remember that? Was it Dennis Pennis, the guy who used to kind of doorstep people? We need people in the press pack to throw random arithmetic questions at Donald Trump, or like, Mr. President, what day of the week is it? Nobody does days of the week better than me. I know every day. In fact, that's not a bad idea. I'm going to name a day after me. Saturday, Sunday, Trump Day. We're going to make every day a Trump Day. Mr. President, what's 3 + 4? That's a great question. Nobody does 7s or 8s better than me. Anyway, we're going to talk about that. There's lots of bits and bobs knocking about, but at the heart of all of this, is a fucking unpalatable bastard. So who am I talking about? Okay, which unpalatable? Let's have a bit of fun. Which unpalatable bastard am I going to pop up on the screen first? Who am I about to throw up onto the screen? It's all over. Yeah, no, it's interesting actually. I got very, very shadow banned yesterday for my Instagram reel, where I was suggesting quite directly or indirectly actually, thank you guys, 6 degrees of separation, that perhaps Starmer, McSweeney, and Mandelson were all Israeli intelligence assets. I wonder whether McSweeney, Keir Starmer's chief of staff, is spending any money investigating social media accounts just because he spent £30,000 looking into a group of journalists. I'm just curious. No, the first unwholesome, the Prince of Darkness, no less. This, I can't wrap my head round this image right now. Sorry if you're listening on podcast, being the actual front cover of the Times magazine today. So here's the thing. So what we're looking at right now, if you're listening, is we've got Peter Mandelson. I mean, if you look online somewhere, you've got Pete Mandelson in his kitchen. It's a nice kitchen. I hate to say it, I think it's the kitchen we had before the kitchen we put in. He's, I don't know, cracking an egg. He's doing something over the oven. He's actually, if you look closely, he's got no food in either the colander, the bowl, or the pan. So he's kind of pretending to cook. He's got a really sort of boring artwork on the wall, and he's looking up like, "Hey, I'm just ordinary." He's got sort of those horrendous shoes that I just hate men wearing. What are those shoes? Are they loafers, sloafers? But anyway, it says, and this is the quote. And he's got his quite. I like the shaker style. We used to have a shaker style kitchen too. Look at his dog's face. His dog has seen it all. Even his dog, even Peter Mandelson's dog, is saying, "Get this guy out of here." This guy is Peter Mandelson's dog's literally, his facial expression is saying, "He's a bad un. He's a wrong un. He's just like, no, don't believe a word of it." And what it says underneath Mandelson is, "I've had a lot of bad luck, no doubt some of it of my own making." Now let's just dig into that. I've had a lot of bad luck. All about me. The ultimate pick-me boy. That's what a pick-me boy is. It's like, oh, you know, there's fucking thousands of victims of Epstein. There's the total insult to the legacy of their trauma and the overreach of their trauma and the PTSD that they're all going through and the deaths and everything else. And all you can do is stand over your fucking shaker hob, cracking a pretend imaginary egg, saying, "No bad things happen to me. I've had a lot of bad luck." The dog is fucking suicidal. The dog's had enough. The dog is out of there. The dog's like, "I've had enough of this fucking bastard." Always talking about himself. Even the dog is saying he's always on about himself. Anyway, so he says, "I've had a lot of bad luck." Oh, you chose. And believe me, I was looking through the Department of Justice website myself. And when you pump in Mandelson, there are, on an initial search, there are 5,888 references to Mandelson in the Epstein files. That's not bad luck. That's a deep, involved, entwined involvement, professional relationship, friendship, liaison with A paedophile, a convicted fucking paedophile. That's not bad luck. That is an active choice. What he should have said there was, I've made some awful decisions. Not, it's bad luck. Because the suggestion of bad luck is it happens to you. I'm not really bad luck. You know, it doesn't really happen. It happens to you. Do you know what I mean? We're going to talk about the potential bearded Epstein in Tel Aviv. We're going to talk about that in a bit. And then he says, no doubt. Whenever anyone says no doubt, they're saying doubt it. Or they're saying, I doubt it. Or they're saying, it's not totally me. It's not totally my fault. No doubt, some of it, no doubt, some of it, not all of it, not all of his involvement with Mandelson, just some of it. So he's picking and choosing. It was bad luck, which isn't his fault. Some of the stuff, which isn't everything he's done, of my own making. What are those shoes called? I fucking hate those shoes so much. I hate to say it. When I meet men in those shoes, I don't trust them. I know it's it's not body shaming, it's shoe shaming. I don't trust them. Janina M. He's got caught for, what has he got caught for? Lying about the extent to which he was friends with and a deeply involved business associate with Jeffrey Epstein, a convicted paedophile. And the allegations, as they sit, are that he wasn't fully transparent with Keir Starmer when Keir Starmer appointed him as the ambassador to the US. The problem here is that there are lots of files and correspondence in the British government that will talk to the intelligence and what the British government and Starmer knew about Mandelson's relationship with Epstein. And that at the moment is being tussled over what will be put in the public realm. And spinning off from that, he is also accused, there is also the possibility that he was involved in some extraordinary sort of market kind of manipulation, insider trading, potentially, sharing incredibly important, vulnerable, volatile, market-changing, market-sensitive intelligence and information from the British government with a man, Epstein, who was, but in the FBI's own words, an Israeli intelligence asset. Now, the problem we have here is that because we have for decades characterized Israel as an ally, we're still in the overhang with the mainstream media and the system going, but they've been an ally, so it doesn't really matter if they know everything. Careful with friends like those, who needs enemies? Right now, I would trust Putin more than Netanyahu. If I was given 2 doors to go through for a beer and a chat, and it said Putin or Netanyahu, I know which door I'd go through. Sorry, Putin. But Western media, the Labour government, Wes Streeting, and the reason Wes Streeting's involved is Wes Streeting, hugely influential health minister, talked about massively as a possible, he hasn't been arrested yet, no. But the images coming through of them going, oh, I thought I just pulled them in. Where did they go? Just one second. Oh, hang on a minute. Maybe I didn't pull it in. Let me just, I've got images of them raiding his house. Here we go. Just pulling them up. So there are 2 of his properties, I think one in Camden, one in Wiltshire. Oh, that's weird. So for some reason, Untitled. Oh, no, here they are. Just get rid of that one. So these 2, boxes of files, I presume boxes of hard drives coming out of one of his houses, going into the garage. Look, there's lots of boxes there with lots of things in them. So we've had the Epstein files, and now we're going to have the Mandelson files. Now, it needs to be stressed, within this, there's no necessary suggestion yet of any untoward behavior from Mandelson, because let's not forget, one of his primary defenses in his relationship with Epstein was this: I was gay. I didn't know what was going on. Like when you arrived at Epstein's Island, there was a boarding jetty for paedophiles, and then there was a boarding jetty for guests, and then there was a boarding jetty for gay people. So what did Epstein? And the fact that we've seen so many images of Mandelson in his really excruciatingly awful white pants, with young women in bathrobes. I don't know what, asking him if he wants juice that morning. I think he possibly did know. Now, interestingly, thank you, Michu, for mentioning this. I just want to share this. This was the National, Scottish newspaper, the National, this evening. So this was last night. So Mandelson, he's at the heart of possibly the biggest political scandal this country has known, much bigger than the Profumo affair. It speaks to, as much as the mainstream media wants to keep saying it speaks to KGB Russian assets, it doesn't. It speaks to Israeli influence and control. So huge scandal. It speaks to it's connected to one of the most awful, elitist grooming gang stories in the history of man, that in itself tickles at the edges of many conspiracy theories that have swirled around for many decades around cabals, cannibalism, killing children. And whilst all those things seemed a little bit kind of far-fetched, even for those of us who didn't trust many people like Harvey Weinstein, what have you, the problem with the Epstein files now is there's enough, I would argue here, there is enough in the Epstein files now, if not to literally legitimize those worst possible thoughts or ideas, but to certainly point towards the possibility of them. Nothing that's landed, even in the redacted, only half of them landing in the public realm, nothing so far that's been released in any way takes us away from the edge of the awfulness and the real awfulness of what could be in there. Anyway, so bearing all that in mind, bearing in mind the fact that Mandelson's connected to that guy, once he was convicted as a paedophile, he stayed friends with him, the fact that Mandelson is inextricably entwined, some brilliant journalism. I couldn't take the whole thread of tweets by this guy, the independent journalist I featured yesterday. But when you go into the incredibly 6 degrees of separation connections between everyone in the Labour Party, Luke Akehurst, and all of the kind of higher echelons of Israeli governance and government, it's a total fucking stitch up. I would go so far as to say that we are definitely sitting on an Israeli intelligence asset ring that is within our government, from Lammy to Streeting to Mandelson to Starmer. It's all been constructed. It's all been put together with the Zionist Israeli project in mind. I mean, unfortunately, it is. Everything does. I mean, someone said yesterday, why does everything? It's so frustrating. You know, I'd love a day where everything didn't fucking reach back to Israel. Really, I would love a day where it just wasn't constantly the paper trail, like fucking Hansel and Gretel. As you follow the crumbs of bread, you go, oh God, we're back here again. Sure, we will get shadow banned. But anyway, so bearing all this in mind, his house is being raided, houses are being raided. Peter Mandelson's team put this out last night. This evening, Peter Mandelson's representatives sent this to the UK media. A notice was circulated on Friday evening from representatives of Peter Mandelson via press regulator, IPSO, and the Press Association Newswire to all media across the UK. We believe it is strongly in the public interest to publish this memo. Confidential. This is what it said. This is what Mandelson's people said. Confidential, strictly not for publication. IPSO has asked us to circulate the following advisory. IPSO has today been contacted by a representative acting on behalf of Peter Mandelson. Mr. Mandelson's representatives state that he does not wish to speak to the media. He requests that the press do not take photos or film, approach, or contact him via phone, email, or in person. His representatives ask that any requests for his comment are directed to redacted. We are happy to make editors aware of this request. We note the terms Clause 2 and 3, harassment, and in particular that Clause 3 states that journalists must not persist in questioning, telephoning, pursuing, or photographing individuals once asked to desist unless justified in the public interest. Mandelson has used clauses of the editor's code most typically associated with grieving families or those suffering harassment from the press to urge journalists to stop scrutinizing his links to the world's most notorious pedophile. How fucking exceptionalist, elitist, and arrogant is that? So what he's saying is, don't fucking ask any questions. Don't fucking come at me. Don't challenge me for my relationship with the most sinister paedophile on the fucking planet, who was perhaps inextricably entwined with every intelligence agency, to whom I was spilling details and market sensitive information and God only knows what else. At one point, Mandelson said to the Israeli government, he once said to the Israeli government, perhaps you need to listen to the IDF a little bit more. Okay. So he's asking the press to avoid him. And then on the morning after he's issued that declaration, or released that kind of note to all of the British media, he appears in on the front page of the Sunday Times magazine with his dog. Do you know what, Mandelson? You can fucking do one. Once again, I mean, how do these motherfuckers get away with thinking they can just be left to not answer anything? He is an absolutely unforgivably arrogant, supercilious, oleaginous creep. Always has been. And I'll say what I said yesterday again. Starmer and co, Streeting and co, McSweeney and co, all of them, our Israeli intelligence compromised government put him in place in Washington as the ambassador because not of his bad luck, but because of his ability to operate in the dark margins. Peter Mandelson's called the Prince of Darkness because he operates in the dark web of politics, quite literally. In his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, he was the dark web. If it is a schnauzer, it's a schnauzer that's contorted into something that looks very unwell. I think it looks like that's its forehead. But the schnauzer's trying to get out of shot. The schnauzer's clearly been forced in. So just unforgivable. So he's trying to silence the press and at the same time saying, poor me, poor me, poor me. Oh, unforgivable. Mandelson responds to Epstein email revelations. I've had a lot of bad luck, says the Canary in his fresh interview. No, as the Canary UK news outlet says, you're just a sleazeball who hangs around with pedos. Couldn't sum it up better myself. These are some of the headlines knocking about. Labour think tank close to Morgan McSweeney paid firm to investigate journalists. This is what I was talking about yesterday. £30,000 was spent on a PR firm to investigate journalists who were investigating McSweeney or looking into McSweeney. That's Stasi, isn't it? That's the kind of thing that we all go mad about Trump for doing, isn't it? Isn't that equivalent to like the phone hacking scandal and the mainstream media using private investigators to dig up dirt? What I'd like to know actually on this story is what strategies did the PR firm that Morgan McSweeney's think tank used to investigate independent journalists? What techniques did they use? What did they spend that £30,000 on? Needs to be an inquiry, needs to be an investigation. Police search 2 homes connected to Mandelson over Epstein scandal, just trotting through the headlines as they're appearing this morning. Lib Dems urge FCA to investigate Peter Mandelson over potential insider trading. Sorry, let me just pull those down just for a second. It's just staggering, isn't it? It's just absolutely staggering. Oh, so we've seen all of this stuff going into his house. So I just want to pull. Let me just pull this up. Is that Mandelson? Yeah, there we go. This man is on the Jodie McIntyre. This is the independent journalist who yesterday was sort of tiptoeing and stepping through and revealed the fact that £30,000 was being spent on investigating. He's got to please go and check out. You don't need to become, you don't have to. Well, maybe you do have to create an account to watch anything on Twitter. I don't know, but on Twitter, I'll see if the Canary UK or I can screenshot this and reshare it. Jodie McIntyre. This man is on the brink of bringing down the Starmer administration, Peter Mandelson. But did you know that Peter Mandelson once instructed the Israeli government to listen more to the IDF? This is what the media are choosing not to tell you. And then it follows up with about 16 posts on Twitter that as you read them, my eyes were falling onto the table with disbelief at how inextricably entwined every single senior Labour politician is, has been, was, and probably still is with the Israeli fascist regime. Staggering. And we're trying to be told that Mandelson cozying up to the Israeli president, the Israeli prime minister, cozying up to the IDF, saying that they should listen to the IDF more. You're trying to tell me the whole Mandelson affair has no influence on that? You're trying to tell me that, the whole Epstein affair has no influence on that? Are you trying to tell me that in the Epstein files, there's something in the Epstein files that doesn't implicate everyone in our government? He's very good. He's very good. Cabinet ministers say Keir Starmer is in a dark place over the decision to appoint Peter Mandelson, and there is genuine concern he could resign. But this is categorically rejected by Starmer's allies. I mean, this is all hearsay. One doesn't know. At the same time, Rayner coup. Could Angela Rayner trigger an election? Starmer allies warn rebels. PM supporters say new left-wing agenda would require fresh mandate. This is an interesting kind of inflection point for the Labour Party. I think, in a weird way, if Starmer was to be pushed out, if Labour was to lurch more to the left, if they were able to do what seems to be creeping into American politics, there's quite a big news story that's quite sort of rarefied for us here, I think it's in New Jersey, a candidate for, I think, the Democrats that was AIPAC, Israeli lobby supported, didn't win the vote or didn't win selection because people have had enough of the Israeli lobby's influence on politics in America. I mean, only in that instance. I'm not saying that's across the board, but it was an interesting moment where actually being supported by the Israeli lobby in America didn't result in the politicians supported by AIPAC, the Israeli lobby, actually gaining a nomination. And I just think that actually the Labour Party need to tread carefully here, because if Labour was to do this, I think this would present a problem, say, for example, for the Green Party. If Labour were to lurch to the left, if they were to embrace the not complicated, the mainstream public, the public can wrap their head around this, that to be critical of a country that's committed a genocide doesn't mean you're critical of all Jewish people. Just like we're all critical of what Germany did in World War II, but we all still do business with and talk to German people. It's not like we still hold them all responsible for that. Some do, but I mean, the vast majority of rational people don't. So if Labour were to do two things, step to the left a bit more, and not try and pander to the Reform Party kind of ethic. And if they were to actually say, do you know what, we got it wrong. We overstepped the mark on the don't be critical of Israel, it's all anti-Semitic. And they actually just landed in a completely reasonable place, which is we just fucking hate genocides, guys. That is the only thing that will, I think, help Labour. And where we're at the moment with Angela Rayner in the wings, she could easily be the kind of person to represent that. I know a lot of people can't stand Rayner. I mean, I personally, I'm late. The Labour story is over for me. It's gone. It's done and dusted. As our interview with Hannah Spencer last night said, she was great. She's like, there's nothing about this guy Starmer that's redeeming. There's nothing that's redeeming about him whatsoever. But a lot of the papers running with this, Angela Rayner, Times, told Keir Starmer not to appoint Mandelson. And in the current climate, anyone who is in government who told Starmer not to employ Mandelson, it's gonna look good for them, isn't it? I mean, not unreasonably, she said his connections to Epstein are a little bit worrisome. Allies of the former deputy prime minister claim the prime minister ignored her, and they point out Wes Streeting's ties to disgraced peer. Wes Streeting has gone on a purge of all of his social media, deleting all of his chummy references to Mandelson. I believe also his partner has worked with Mandelson too. Again, go to that Twitter feed for the full kind of the infiltration. And because it's 6 degrees of separation, please stick with me on this. Most people won't stick with any thought if it requires you to think one thing and then add another thought to it to come to another conclusion. People are busy. People are thinking of other things. But I trust me, the 6 degrees of separation thing, it's probably about 3 or 4 degrees of separation between almost everyone in the Starmer government and supporting Israel, the Israeli fascistic genocidal regime. Really, it's not even 6 degrees of separation. Allies of Rayner said they believe that Wes Streeting, the health secretary, would be ruined by the mass disclosure of all communications with Mandelson in coming months. Streeting and Mandelson were close allies for years. And this is where we pivot from what's in the Epstein files to the Mandelson files could reveal so many things that will be awkward for our government. Starmer will probably have spoken in really not very pleasant terms about Trump, not unreasonably, because Trump's a complete cock. So there'll be worry about what language was used around Trump. There'll be worry about how compromised all of our, leading politicians in the Labour Party were to various regimes like Israel, like America, what have you. There's going to be concern about who was listened to, who wasn't listened to. There's going to be concern about how Starmer managed to overlook the fact that Mandelson was friends with a paedophile. And then there's going to be issues for people like, further down the way, like Wes Streeting, David Lammy. What are their connections? How involved were they all with the Mandelson decision? And then Morgan McSweeney, the Iago, who's in the back rooms, forever whispering into the ears, not doing any interviews, conducting investigations into journalists that he doesn't like. Deeply disturbing and troublesome individual. I mean, nothing new in that. I mean, I remember the days of Tony Blair and Alistair Campbell. Alistair Campbell was in there doing all this business, wasn't he? So this could blow up really badly. Oh God, just the front cover of that just drives you fucking nuts, doesn't it? So we're just going to talk. Well, we're going to talk about the racism, but I do want to flag this up. Let me just play you this. We haven't played anything, have we yet? Let me play you this clip by an influencer, and this pivots around an alleged image of Epstein yesterday. But some have said this is AI, so I don't know how much we can lean into this.
In Tel Aviv 6 hours ago. You just signed up here, and this guy looks awfully familiar walking around with armed security guards. Yeah, looks like the guy that's been in the news lately, right? Slap a beard, long hair, and some glasses on him so that nobody would recognize him. And if you don't believe...
And I can't take much more of that sort of strident voice. But anyway, so those are the images that are knocking about. But at the same time, there's a suggestion that the internet is convinced Epstein is still alive. His supposed Fortnite account was found, and it's active. So, there's this idea that perhaps he's incognito, having grown a beard, playing Fortnite. Online users searched the name of Jeffrey Epstein's Fortnite account and found it. Records showed purchases linked to the account. Now, I don't necessarily know who thinks he could still be. I mean, to be brutally honest with you, I don't think we can actually accept the story as presented to us. But whether that means he's alive or and well I mean, I think it has been passed through various kind of AI kind of sort of filters to prove that it wasn't him. Okay, so I'm just going to move us across to. I just quickly want to talk about this. The Clintons. Clintons called for their Epstein testimony to be held publicly. Bill Clinton says closed-door depositions would be akin to a kangaroo court, as Hillary Clinton says they have already told House Committee what they know. Now, what I find interesting about this, I just want to ask people what you think. Why? So the Clintons are kind of almost trying to call Trump and the American government's sort of bluff by saying, no, I mean, Hillary's posted about it. Let me just actually, I thought I'd taken it in, but let me send it back in and pull it in as an image. I've got Bill Clinton's Twitter feed here. What do you think they're hoping to gain from having it recorded and saying what they say? I'm presuming they're going to say they're not going to incriminate themselves. I mean, Clinton isn't going to appear and say, oh yeah, by the way, I was having sex with this person, that person, and this person. But I'm trying to work out what their strategy is here. And I think there's some legalistic possibility. I'm just pulling up Clinton's Twitter feed here. Bill Clinton, here he goes. 11 hours ago, I've called for the full release of the Epstein files. I have provided a sworn statement of what I know. And just this week, I've agreed to appear in person before the committee. But it's still not enough for Republicans on the House Oversight Committee. Now, Chairman Comer, who's head of the committee, says he wants cameras, but only behind closed doors. Who benefits from this arrangement? It's not Epstein's victims who deserve justice, not the public who deserve the truth. It serves only partisan interests. This is not fact-finding, it's pure politics. I will not sit idly as they use me as a prop in a closed-door kangaroo court by a Republican Party running scared. If they want answers, let's stop the games and do this the right way, in a public hearing where the American people can see for themselves what this is really about. Now, this raises many issues. Does this raise the issue that, yes, Bill Clinton or the Clintons are willing to accept that Clinton was a very naughty boy, but perhaps the Clintons know that whilst Bill Clinton was, privy to, I don't know, sex parties, sex with women, extramarital sex, etc. Maybe they do. Do you think they could be doing this because they know in their heart of hearts, they maybe haven't done anything as bad as Trump? Do you think that? And I think the reason they want to do it is they want to make it look so apparent and obvious and bad that Trump and no one on the right is being held to account. It's astonishing, isn't it? Rightly so. Mandelson, Andrew, the Clintons, everyone is being sort of hauled in front of the media and being dragged over the coals, but nothing is really happening to Trump still. But I don't know what there's a part of this that doesn't make sense to me, because I think for the vast majority of people, the feeling is that the Clintons are in this up to their elbows too. But why would they be okay and happy with sitting down and spilling the beans on everything? Unless, again, at the highest levels of control and manipulation, there's a knowledge that the worst stuff that implicates everyone just won't get out. I didn't do a Clinton search last night. I was busy going down the Mandelson warren in the Department of Justice website. Trump is just the head of the boil, says Portillo Moment. Remove him and it all comes out, I suspect. Neither the Trump or the Clintons will provide anything inculpatory, looking to absolve themselves. That's what I mean. We had Trump yesterday. I showed you a clip of Trump saying I quite like the Clintons. I like Bill. He's a good man. Bubba, I've partied with him. I like him. He's a good man. Why is he suddenly liking Bill? Why are Bill and Hillary suddenly happy to kind of record stuff or do it live? I get why they don't want to do it behind closed doors, because it can be edited, manipulated. Anything could happen with it. But have they got nothing to lose, MeToo? Have they got nothing to lose? Because it feels like, just from some of the images we've seen, that the very least Bill Clinton's going to have to admit to being dalliancing and going to parties and doing stuff. Or do you know what I mean? Or here's my worst fear, that even them agreeing to this, stepping in front of the cameras, is, how about this? This is just dawning on me. Could them being willing to testify be in cahoots with Trump? Could this be a strategy from Trump and the Clintons? It's not about whether, I don't think no one does care that Bill knew Epstein. We know he did, but what he did, presumably, is there not the possibility? I reckon they think Jenna can't be worse than the Lewinsky years scandal. I think it could. When you start looking at what's in these Epstein files and the suggestion of pizzas and children, and pizza being used as a euphemism for child sex and stuff. It's just all such unspeakable fucking stuff. I saw someone saying this is a staggering game of 4D chess. I'm obviously missing something, because or is it just wishful thinking that we think the Clintons have done anything anywhere near as bad as Trump? Or maybe the Clintons just know nothing comes close to what Trump's in there for. And they just know. Let's not forget, Epstein himself said he's never met anyone as evil as Trump. So let's assume that's true. Pam Bondi has said if they prosecute the people in the files, then everything collapses. But you can't have some of the messages that are in there and not prosecute the people who've been redacted. It's just, can't wait to see how this is gonna spin out. Okay, so trigger warning. It's a kind of distance shot. There's a freeze frame from the really objectionable clip meme that President Trump posted on his Truth Social. It was an AI generated clip. In it, the Obamas appeared with their heads attached to the bodies of monkeys, clearly racist, a racist upload. So I'm just wanting to say, because it's unpleasant, but I'm just popping it up now. We posted this earlier yesterday. Breaking: Trump posted a video on Truth Social that included a racist image of Barack and Michelle Obama as monkeys. Trump says he didn't see the part of the video with the racist clip depicting Obamas as apes. Donald Trump says he didn't make a mistake over Obama's as apes video. He's alternately blamed it on a junior member of staff who uploaded on his instruction without checking. Then he's also said previously that no one else operates his Truth Social. So let's have a listen to Donald Trump.
Any questions, John?
Mr. President, social media post that you took down earlier today, the White House says that a staffer sent it. Who sent it, and are you going to fire them?
No, I looked at it. I saw it, and I just looked at the first part. It was about voter fraud in someplace, Georgia. There was a lot of voter fraud, 2020 voter fraud, and I didn't see the whole thing. I guess during the end of it, there was some kind of a picture that people don't like. I wouldn't like it either, but I didn't see it. I looked at the first part, and it was really about voter fraud in and the machines, how crooked it is, how disgusting it is. Then I gave it to the people. Generally, they look at the whole thing, but I guess somebody didn't, and they posted, and we took it down, and we turned it, But that was a voter fraud that nobody talks about. They don't like to talk about that post. We took it down as soon as we found out about it.
Mr. President, a number of Republicans are calling on you to apologize for that post. Is that something you're going to do?
No, I didn't make a mistake. I mean, I look at a lot of thousands of things. I looked at the beginning of it. It was fine. They had that one post, and I guess it was a takeoff. By the way, a lot of people covered. If you look at where it came from, I guess it was a takeoff on The Lion King. And certainly it was a very strong post in terms of voter fraud. Nobody knew that was at the end. If they would have looked, they would have seen it. And probably they would have had the sense to take it down. But that was a takeoff on The Lion King. And a lot of people were covered on in different positions. So, but I spoke to Tim Scott. He was great. Tim is a great.
And here he is just saying he won't apologize.
I am, by the way, the least racist president you've had in a long time, as far as I'm concerned.
What a weird statement. I'm the least racist president you've had in a long time. Good God. He can't say sorry. He just can't say sorry. He can't apologize. It all becomes about voter fraud, etc. So I'm going to play you something. I had to strip the music out, but there's some very clever AI creator has created this animation of Donald Trump just to see whether this offends him at all, really. Here he is. There's the orangutan, the orangutan. Do you get it? The orangutan. He looks great, doesn't he? Donald Trump's face there. Really sort of morphing into that of an orangutan. Yeah. Firing mud at people or shit or something.
This weekend at the Mar-a-Lago Super Bowl party.
Wrong clip.
It's not just Democrats. There are Republican senators, Pete Ricketts, others saying, look, we understand it was, but the president should just come out and apologize for it and say, look, this was a mistake. Sorry if it offended anyone. Why not?
Well, look, I won't get ahead of the president, Laura, and he may be speaking with the press later today.
President, a number of Republicans are calling on you to apologize.
It was a takeoff of Joe Biden.
And he just won't apologize. It's just Caroline Leavitt. Even Caroline Leavitt there sort of suggesting or inferring that there might be a moment he might decide to apologize. What was it? Someone just said he's Donna Holland. He's totally, fully demented now. Rambles and weaves and heaves. I just want to read something Elaine, was it? Someone said about how Mandelson had nothing to say when the press were hounding Jeremy Corbyn out of office. I think it's so unforgivable, isn't it, that Mandelson has tried to use some kind of press privilege to stop the press kind of attacking him. So there you go, guys. That's your lot, I think. Is that right? Yeah, I had a clip there about the Super Bowl. Don't forget, it's the Super Bowl this weekend. I'm sure we'll get some movie trailers and stuff like that. Be interesting to see how, I think Bad Bunny is performing. Is that right? See how that goes down in the Trump household. So do hit the subscribe button. Do hit the notification bell if you like to be kept across the news and the way that we deal with it. The Curly Cooks is coming, I think, in 15 minutes. Do keep your eye on the clock, though. If they're behind, it could be a little bit later. And yeah, thanks, guys. And more content will be landing. And if you fancy hearing from the Green Party candidate in the Gorton and Denton by-election, do check out our interview with her last night. Okay, guys. So see you on the other side in 15 minutes.